All right, welcome to our La Follette Press election results show. I'm Robbie O'Daniel, the editor of La Follette Press. We're going to be breaking down over the next couple hours. We're going to be breaking down all the results as they come in and talking to different people along the way. And the first person we're going to talk to, so grateful to come in at the top of us here, State Representative Dennis Powers. Welcome.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate you all inviting me on.
So we were talking before we went on that it's kind of a more subdued election locally, but obviously in terms of the state level, national level, there's more interest this time. Could you talk about what are you seeing there? It seems like there's a lot of different things I'm seeing online as far as how it's not going to go for the Senate and for the House at the national level.
Well, and the turnout level too. There's already been 20 million more people that have voted in the early voting than did 4 years ago, which is what they used to compare it to the 2018 voting. But I really think that what it looks like right now is that the Republicans, or anytime you have a midterm election, generally the opposite party will do well. But I think we're going to do even better than what we have been, because we've been focusing on the economy, the border, crime, energy, a lot of the things that people are really concerned about. And it seems like the Democrat Party has been focusing on some of the things that are kind of lower on the priority list. So I think that's really energized people to turn out. Inflation's the big thing. Prices have gone up, and it continues to go up. And we have a lot of great solutions to do that. I think over the next 2 years, we can kind of turn that around a little bit.
And I don't know if we've ever really straightened out the polling side. It seems like Republican support is always kind of under-supported by the polling.
Yeah, and a lot of times, and I know I talk to a lot of people, and I'm guilty myself of not answering the phone when I see it come up and know it's a polling situation. You just don't want to. You're always worried about if it's going to be a fair poll or a push poll or something like that. So yeah, we're kind of underrepresented. I think the best, when I look at the best poll, is the one that's the average. Yeah. And I think it's real clear politics, the average, and it takes about 12 or 15 of the top rated polls and averages them out. That seems to be the most accurate.
Well, what do you think about in terms of, I guess, what do you think about in terms of Governor Bill Lee and his opposition to that? Obviously, it would be a shock if Governor Bill Lee did the election.
Yeah, I read somewhere today that it's like a 99% chance of him winning. Yeah. I don't know who come up with those odds, but he the economy and the state of Tennessee is doing great. Not so much in the overall in the country, but in the state of Tennessee, we have not only a balanced budget, but we have a surplus every year. And we've been able to fund things every year. We get $1 billion more per year, like for education. We've got a lot of great things going on. We have no debt. We have no state income tax, and never will have one.
In terms of some of the state, one thing I was seeing was about debates and how sometimes the incumbent some of the state races are kind of shying away from them. Whereas I think of the state house race between Tim Burchett and Mark Harmon, or Mark Harmon's going to want to win, Tim Burchett hasn't won. What do you think about those sort of situations? Obviously, it goes into it goes into strategy, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, and what you see happen a lot of times too, and then I'm not saying this about Congressman Burchett, but a lot of times what you see is, if you've got a big lead, commanding lead, the political side of it is to say that, it's probably going to, a debate is probably going to hurt you more than help you. So that's what you see as far as the strategy part of it. One thing that I've been involved with before when I've done debates is making sure that you do have a fair and balanced group out there doing it. That you've got people that are going to ask you legitimate questions about the positions and don't get into personal things and like that. So that's one thing, and it's really hard to find a non-biased group that are are going to stick to the issues and do a debate the right way. And especially when you get to the lower levels, when you get to governor or presidential, you get some good panels on there that can handle a debate. When you get to my level or, even the congressman's level, sometimes you don't have those qualified people doing the debate.
Well, what do you think about in terms of like the election integrity? How do you feel about, like, say, how much can people, essentially trust in the system?
Well, fortunately, like I said, there's a lot of good things going on in Tennessee. We just got rated #1 last month in election integrity in America. So we're the #1 state. We do things the right way. I mean, we believe in voter ID. We believe in, that if somebody is going to vote, they need to vote in person if they can. There's none of the mail-in ballots or none of the drop-off ballots, anything like that. So we've actually done a really good job of making sure that integrity is in the state of Tennessee. Some other places that have really had problems, I believe, and they've done. I'll give you an example. I talked to Congressman Kustoff. He is out in West Tennessee. And he told me that he had an apartment in Washington, and the people next door to him had moved out about a month before, but this was 2 years ago, and they had 3 ballots laying at the door. So anybody could have picked up those ballots, and so obviously they didn't request them, or they didn't have the forwarding address on there correctly, or whatever. So that's where you really get into problems. We see with the mail-in ballots and the drop-off boxes, those are the things that really cause a problem. So we need to make sure that we do it like we do in Tennessee. Make sure that we know who's voting, and that person is registered to vote, and that nobody else is voting for them.
In terms of, like, how do you feel like the House and the Senate will shake out in terms of, do you think the Republican Party will be able to reclaim? Do you think, like, how do you think
You're right about the U.S. House.
Yes, the U.S. House.
Yes. Well, it looks like right now I've seen predictions anywhere from the House picking up 20 to 40 seats. So probably going to be somewhere in the middle of that, maybe around 30 or so. And that will give them about a 20. They're about 8 down right now, so that'll give them about a 22 vote margin majority. The Senate looks like we're going to pick up 2, maybe 3 seats in there. The Georgia race probably be a runoff. You have to get more than 50%, and the way they're looking now, neither one of them are going to get that, so they'll probably have to run that off in about a month and to find out who it is there. But I think we're going to pick up 2 or 3 seats in the Senate and have a majority, and about 30 in the House. So I think we're going to have a majority in both, and I think it's just there again what we were talking about a while ago, concentrating on the real things that matter, the things that people, those pocketbook issues, those kitchen table issues that everybody's worried about.
One thing that people have talked about a lot this election is the Amendment 1. Could you talk a little bit about that and your perspective on it?
Yeah, I sure will. It's called Yes on One was the movement behind it. And what it is, first of all, there's 4 amendments on there, and all of them take anywhere from 5 to 8 years to even get on a ballot, because they have to go through 2 general assemblies. They have to be passed by 2/3 of the vote in each chamber, in each general assembly. So it's really a long, drawn-out process. So it has to have bipartisan support to even get on the ballot. But we are a right-to-work state, and all this is doing is putting that right-to-work law that we've had on the books for 50 years, putting it in the Constitution. A lot of states have tried to repeal it, and they just done it by a simple majority in their House and Senate, and then having the governor sign off on it. We are trying to put it in the Constitution, so we'll always, just like we did with the state income tax, that will always be a right-to-work state. And a right-to-work state simply says it doesn't have anything to do with being fired or not being able to join a union. It's just saying you're not forced to join a union in order to have a job. So that's the only thing that a right-to-work really is. And it's a good amendment, and I think we've worked well as a right-to-work state, and this will continue to keep it that way.
So what's going on like right now in terms of being a state representative? Like what are you thinking about? Like what things have you been working on?
Well, I've actually been working on several different things. We've got problems with, sometimes a federal problem will turn into a state problem. And one big problem we've had, and we've seen it all over the country, is like with drugs, with fentanyl that's come across the border. It comes from China, goes to Mexico, and then it's transported illegally up here, and we're having people dying. So one bill that I've actually already been drafting and working on it right now is called One Pill Will Kill, because we've seen people that have taken this one pill or even a half a pill and dying. Right now, there's 15 milligrams, is that correct? I think of fentanyl is a Class A felony, and we're going to cut 15 grams, I'm sorry, and we're going to cut that down to a half a gram. It's going to be a Class A felony. So if you sell fentanyl, even if it's a half a gram, and somebody dies of it, then you can get the death penalty, or you can get life imprisonment. We want to make sure that nobody is pushing fentanyl upon our kids, because we got 300 people a day dying in our country. You know, one plane crash a day, and nobody's saying anything about it, nobody's doing anything about it, and we're not stopping it from coming across the border. A couple other things I'm working on is the ESG, if you're familiar with that, environmental and social governments. We're just trying to keep the state of Tennessee from investing in companies that are doing that, because what they're doing, they're actually discriminating against the country based on their social policies or the type of way they treat their employees, or, you know, even though they're doing it legally. But we saw what happened to Major League Baseball. They didn't think they were running elections right in Atlanta, and so they moved to Colorado, even though there was, you know, no problem with, there's bigger voter turnout in Georgia this year than ever. And that was $100 million industry that went on. So we're just making sure that these companies know that if you're going to do that, if you're going to use ESG, which they use it kind of like a credit score almost now, that we're not going to invest any of the pension money, any of the money that the state of Tennessee has in your business.
Well, yeah. Anything else that you'd like?
Well, a couple of things that we're looking at E-Verify. We're looking at maybe changing that right now. Companies, we want to make sure that, you know, we want everybody to come here legally. I mean, we're really interested in people. We need immigrants, but we want legal immigrants. We need people to work, but we want to make sure that they come here legally. And so E-Verify, moving it down to where if they got 5 employees or more, I think that's a very important issue right now too, because right now it's really easy. At one time it was pretty tough to use the E-Verify system, and now it doesn't cost anything, and it just takes a couple of minutes of time to verify if somebody's here legally or not. We understand farmers, some people like that, it would really be tough to do because only hire 1 or 2 people, so it's not going to catch up with them. But that was another problem I'm working on. Refugee, going back to the illegal immigration thing, we want to make sure that if we have refugees here, and we do want refugees from countries that are here legally, but we need to be taking over that program. Right now we're turning it over to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, Catholic Charities, several others that are involved with that. And what we've found out is they're bringing people in here in the middle of the night, and they did it in Knoxville, they did it in Chattanooga at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they got caught on film doing it, and that is not right. We want to make sure that there again, that people are coming here legally. Another thing that we have is, I had a bill a few years ago that said, it was called the death penalty with the electric chair. So the electric chair has never been considered inhumane treatment, and it can still be used. It's not unconstitutional. So what we did, Senator Yeager and I actually had a bill a few years ago that said if these drugs were unavailable for the drug protocol that they use right now, that they automatically get to use the electric chair. We believe in the death penalty. If murder one, you know, there's some heinous crimes out there that people really, the death penalty is there for. So another bill that I'm coming up with, because right now we've got the drugs, but they're saying that we don't have the right mixture, or they don't have the right formula. So I'm saying that if we don't do that now, these people that have been sitting on death row for over 30 years, we need to use the electric chair on them. So I'm coming up with a bill that will do that. No matter if we can get the drugs, but if we don't have the right protocol for them, we can still do that. There's a couple of things that we'd even talked about some of the things that we did with the lake. Last year I had some bills that did with the lake because we got such a big problem on the lake and we need more enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Oh, right.
and as you know, probably there's not enough TWRA people actually on the lake. I mean, you hardly ever see them, but we need some enforcement. So I was thinking about doing a bill. I'm going to talk with TWRA about this, but said if you live out of state, if you're not a resident of Tennessee, then you have to register your boat here in Tennessee, just like we do. Just like we do in most other states that we go into. Use that fee that we have to pay. I've got a boat and I have to pay a fee every year. Use that fee to hire more TWRA people to patrol our lake because it's really crowded. And if you've had to use it and everything, we really need some more people out there looking and making sure that people are using our lake and doing it the right way.
Right.
So that's another bill that I've been talking about doing too.
I know that is a constant concern, especially among organizations like Cora and things like that. Is maintenance of our trails and the lakes and things like that. So
and we want people to use them, and we want we run kind of our state, and that's one reason we don't have any debt. But we're a fee-based state, so we don't want some person out here paying a fee or a taxpayer that's never using the lake or never using the trails or whatever. Let the people that are using it pay that fee, and that goes to people that are maintaining it and patrolling it. So that's what we want to do with the lake too. We want to make sure that people that are using it are actually the ones that are funding the people that are going to be maintaining it and helping police the lake area.
Thank you so much, State Representative Dennis Powers. Thank you so much for joining us as always.
First time ever I've not had an opponent, so I'm really honored to get to do that this year. And as I tell everybody, I don't have an opponent, but I have a lot of opposition. So, but it's really an honor to get to serve the area that I was born and raised in here and lived here all my life. So thank you for having me down.
All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right, and as we get closer to 8 o'clock and to the magic time for polls to close, and possibly we might be hearing about early and absentee ballots at that point. We're going to talk for a little bit and just a little bit with State Senator Ken Yeager, and we also have on tap to talk with U.S. Rep. Tim Burchett, who is also facing opposition tonight in the form of Mark Harmon, who's his Democratic challenger. And so, yeah, we continue on here, and hopefully the audio quality is good at this point. I think while I was talking to Dennis Powers, JT was frantically looking at me and said the audio quality is terrible. Okay, so we'll see if we can get a hold of State Senator Ken Yeager here and talk to him for just a little bit.
Hello.
Hi, is this State Senator Ken Yeager?
Yes, it is.
Hi, I'm Robbie O'Daniel with the La Follette Press. You're on our La Follette Press election results show.
All right.
All right. So Senator Yeager, I just got done talking with State Representative Dennis Powers, and we were talking about, just in general, what do you think about the midterms tonight?
Well, first in Tennessee, on the Senate side, which I'm more familiar with because I'm caucus chairman in the Senate and responsible for the reelection of our Republican candidates in the Senate, we will have a clean sweep of our candidates. All of our candidates, our incumbents, will be reelected tonight. So I think in about in very good margins. Many of ours are unopposed, but even those that are opposed will have good vote tonight. And like, for example, Randy McNally, our speaker, is opposed, but he will win, unopposed. He will win with a very large complimentary vote. I believe he represented part of Campbell County in years past. But and on the national scene, from what I'm seeing, it looks like a Republican sweep tonight.
And so, be remiss if we didn't ask about, obviously, not that long ago, you had a health announcement, a personal health announcement. Could you take maybe some viewers that are unaware, could you take them through what exactly has happened?
Yeah, I'm happy to, because I wanted to use this opportunity to say something. Earlier in the year, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I have a great team of doctors who are working with me at Vanderbilt in Nashville. I had a surgery earlier in the year, an invasive procedure, but nonetheless, it was just outpatient surgery. And I just finished 25 radiation treatments. In fact, I said last night was the first night since October the 3rd that I slept in my own bed at home. And you learn to appreciate small things. It was good to be home in my own bed. But I went through all that with minimal reactions. I'm very blessed at that. And then I look forward to I am currently taking the third part of the strategy, some oral medication. But I'm in good shape. I feel good. I think the prognosis is good. I've got some good doctors. But most important is I want to let your listeners know how much I appreciate the cards, the calls, the texts, the prayers that I receive from my friends in Campbell County. I'm forever grateful, particularly for your prayers. I have felt the prayer during all of this, and I want people, my friends in Campbell County, to know how much I appreciate that. But I'm home now. I don't expect the oral medication I mentioned a minute ago, the third part of the strategy. I'm taking it home. I don't have to go back to the hospital for that. If any of you are familiar with radiation, it kind of saps your energy. And it's going to take me a few weeks to get my energy back. I'm already on the mend, feeling better, but I am looking forward to getting back into Campbell County, and I will be there.
So can you take me through, how did the diagnosis come about? Like, when was it, and where were you, and, how'd you end up finding out?
Earlier in the year, I had taken a PSA test. That's a blood test. It determines whether you have prostate cancer. My numbers were well past the threshold. I take that test as a regular test. And I would encourage all of the men who are listening, if you're over 50 years of age, you need to take that PSA test at least once a year, because the best way to cure prostate cancer is early detection. I just took the test, and it showed those numbers, and then we started. My doctor put together a team of doctors, and started very aggressive treatment for me, and because it was probably a little bit further along than I wanted, but it's something I can deal with, and I fully expect to have this matter in remission or cured by the end of the year.
So was that a routine test that you
Yes.
take every year?
Yes, I have an annual visit with my urologist.
It
was a routine test, yes.
When did you take the test?
I don't recall from memory. It was much earlier in the year.
Okay.
Probably in the spring or summer of the year. My procedure, once we realized what happened, we started working. I started in August and September on the procedures to lick it, but it was earlier in the year, and I just don't remember the exact date.
Did you have an idea that it would turn out the way it did, or was it a surprise that you got the diagnosis?
It was a surprise. It was a surprise to me because my numbers that I had previous tests, and my numbers were always low. And this time when I took this one, it bumped up. And so the doctor said, well, let's take another one in 2 weeks. Well, it bumped up again. And that, so telling me I had a potential problem. So we decided to just get in there and take aggressive action and get it fixed, and that's what we're doing. But again, I just appreciate Campbell County, number one, for their patience, because I haven't been able to get into the county. I think, I'm a hands-on guy. I want to be up there with my constituents. And then for example, the radiation has interrupted my treatment, my being able to visit Campbell County. But that's behind me now, and I'm getting my rest back. My wife and I are going to take a short vacation, and then I'll be back full bore.
Okay, cool. And so, do you remember the exact day that you got the diagnosis?
It was in the spring.
Okay.
Like I said, I just can't. I could look it up for you, I suppose, but I should have done it before we talked. But it was in the spring when I don't know. It was probably closer. It was in the summer.
Okay.
It was in the summer because it started bumping up, and that concerned the doctors.
Yeah.
And then it not only was it bumping up, but it was the rate of increase was really, if you were looking at a graph instead of a curve line, it was straight up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew something was the matter. I underwent some diagnostic tests in Nashville, and those tests indicated that I did have the cancer. And we proceeded with the strategy from that. And I'm telling you, the technology is phenomenal.
So,
the technology that they were able to use didn't exist 5 years ago.
So
I don't know that they would have been able to see some of this, but they precisely located where the cancer is. We've taken procedures to eradicate it. So I'm having further tests after beginning of the year. We're going to let these medicines I'm currently taking, the oral medicines, work, and we'll be taking the test after the first of the year. I'm having what I call a powwow with my doctors. So we've had preliminary numbers taken maybe a month ago that show that we're good, so that we're heading the right direction.
When did your treatment start, and when did it complete?
I had, and again, I really didn't disclose this because I was in and out in one day. I had outpatient surgery in late September, and then on October the 3rd, I started the radiation therapy. I had 25 consecutive radiation treatments on Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. And just stayed in Nashville. And of course, as I said, it kept me from getting out of the district, but there was just no way. I just stayed in Nashville since they were every day. And that finished this past Monday, and I was home Monday night. And then my first public appearance in Rome County last month, I went to vote today. Again, I'd encourage all men who are listening to have that done. I think it's a guy thing. Now, some guys they don't get the test. You ought to, because early detection is key here.
So your last treatment was yesterday. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So you returned to where you live, Kingston, last night, and then you voted today.
Yes. I was feeling pretty bad. I mean, when I say bad, I was tired from the treatment. People who are listening who've had this know that it takes away your energy. Mm-hmm. I took a short nap. I said there is nothing going to stop me from getting back to East Tennessee. So I took a nap and came home. Mm-hmm. Made it home. I'm not going to sleep. I was going to sleep in my bed last night.
So So there was a gap between when you found out about the diagnosis and when you publicly announced, which was more recent. What went into that decision?
Well, because I knew that I was going to be absent. I had as I told you, the first phase was an invasive procedure that was outpatient surgery. I was in and out in one day. Mm-hmm. And I think it took me a day or two to rest. And so I could do that and not really miss much of my schedule. But when I knew I was going to be tied up for an entire month, mm-hmm. and started canceling events or not accepting other invites, then I needed to tell people where I was, because I didn't want anybody in Campbell County or the 12th District to think that I was not interested, but I thought they needed to know why I was not showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think I'm a hands-on guy. I'm in the county a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted people to know why I wasn't there. That it wasn't because I was, disinterested. It's just I had to take care of my health.
So how many treatments did you have? And it was over the course of a month, you said?
I had 25 treatments, Monday through Friday for the month. And I think that worked into yesterday, the first Monday in November.
Okay.
The calendar. Well, the first treatment was where they take you in, and they make a determination of where they're going to shoot the beam of radiation, and then I had 25 radiation treatments.
Okay, so you had the surgery a while ago, and then over the
yes, that was in September.
Right, and then over the past month you had the 25 treatments.
Yeah.
And what was everything? Was the surgery and the treatments, were they all in Nashville?
Yes.
At Vanderbilt
Yes.
Hospital?
I have a team of doctors. My urologist has always been in Nashville, and so he was the lead doctor, and he pulled together a team that he's very good that came up with this strategy for me, and but it's in Nashville.
Okay.
I miss home so much. I think that was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Was, because I'd have the treatment, and usually I would sit at my home in Nashville, most of the afternoon, because I really couldn't get out.
Mm-hmm.
I was too tired most of the time, but that was the hardest part. Man, the walls were coming in on me. I was ready to get back to East Tennessee, and so I finally have. But
did you get the treatment at Vanderbilt Hospital?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What is it? Is it like Vanderbilt University Medical Center, or?
It's Vanderbilt University Medical Center.
And so
Vanderbilt Hospital and Vanderbilt University Medical Center are both in the same building.
Okay.
And you're technically correct. A lot of my treatment was at the Vanderbilt Hospital. Some of it was at the medical center.
So when is the legislative session is normally, isn't it like January to June? Is that right?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
When does the legislative session, when is that normally?
We will start on the first Tuesday after the first Monday, which I believe, I'll make sure here, I don't want to say it incorrectly, which I believe is January the 10th.
And it runs through when?
It's hard to say. We could run through the end of April, the 1st of May. We don't have the long sessions that we used to have in years past. We get our work done and come home.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go in on the 10th, since this is the beginning of a new 2-year session, there's a lot of organizational work to do. We have to elect a speaker. I expect Speaker McNally to be reelected unanimously. We have to appoint committees, and we have to do that. And we have 9 standing committees. Obviously, there's probably 3 or 4 of them. There's a lot of competition for it. So we will submit the way it works. The members submit the request, and the speaker will decide. I plan to seek re-election as caucus chair. That will actually happen in November. I'm running for re-election as chairman of the caucus, Senate Republican caucus. I haven't heard of any opposition, and candidly don't expect any. But we'll see. And then we will probably, since we're in organizational, that the first week is organizational, we will probably be in a recess for 2 weeks in order to get all the committees structured and get the committee calendars going, and come back full bore on probably late January on the 23rd. And then we'll hear the governor's presentation in the early part of September. He'll present the budget on February the 6th. I'm on the Finance, Ways, and Meetings Committee now, and so I will be hearing several presentations from his departments on this as we ponder the budget.
Okay. And so it's always, the legislative session is always January to April or May, right?
Yeah, usually last year we got out in the early part of May. It could be we'll get out the first part of May.
So it's
I would
safe.
expect.
It's safe to say that you're well acquainted with Nashville, but not with long stays in the fall.
No, I'm not. That's well said. It's right. I was ready to get home. I don't mind. When you're in session, you're busy. I'm usually at the Capitol. I get there probably about 7 a.m. every morning, and I'm usually there till 7 or 8 o'clock at night every day. So I go home, fall in bed, and get up and go to work again. That's what I'm there for. But just sitting at home, twiddling my thumbs is not my style at all. But sometimes you do what you have to do.
Well, I know you.
But I expect a good session. I think, there are a lot of issues that we'll probably be talking about, and I'm looking forward to hearing the governor's budget,
Are there any? I know that you've obviously been busy, but are there any, topics or anything that's pressing to the front of your mind as far as state government goes?
Oh yeah, I think so. There's several issues coming up. We have a bill to, we have a serious problem as a result of the pandemic that many of our third graders have fallen off the rail and are reading below the standard, and those numbers we passed a bill this year that if third graders didn't meet standards set out on the annual achievement, the annual testing, and take the suggested remediation, that they could be retained with some exceptions. So that's a huge issue. We're hearing from a lot of your school boards on that, and I think we'll probably be talking about that. And obviously abortion will be an issue. There'll be some, we have a very, very strict abortion law in Tennessee, which I voted for. But we'll probably be talking about that issue there. One issue that I think I want to look at is, I'm very much pro-life, 100% pro-life, but there were no exceptions provided in the current bill to allow, in a specific situation where a woman's health or major bodily functions were in jeopardy, her life rather was in jeopardy, to make an exception to that law. I think there'll be a lot of discussion about that. So those are a couple of red hot button issues that we'll be talking about as well, and others will come up as such too.
Right. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us as always, State Senator Ken Yeager.
Well, let me say before you go off, if I can, thanks again, my friends, for your support. We're winning this battle, and I really appreciate your prayers, and I'm looking forward to getting back into Campbell County, and I'll be there.
All right. Thank you so much. State Senator Ken Yeager.
You're quite welcome.
All righty. So we get closer to the 8 o'clock hour here, and we're going to be trying to get a hold of J.T. Russell, who is stationed at the election commission, the county election commission, over near the courthouse. And let's see if we can look. Obviously, just a quick recap of what are the races that we will be most paying attention to will be those local races that we're looking at. Perhaps first and foremost, the La Follette mayoral race with Cliff Jennings, Bill Archer, and Joe Bollinger all going for that. We also have the La Follette City Council race, which has Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, Mike Evans, Chuck Queener, Stephanie Grimm-Solomon, Brian St. John, and let's see, I said Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, Mike Evans, Chuck Queener, Brian St. John, Stephanie Grimm-Solomon, and Jimmy Marlowe. They will be vying for 2 seats on the La Follette City Council. And the interesting thing is that Brian St. John announced that he had pulled out of the race after it was too late to rescind, after it was too late to withdraw. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. While we're waiting here, we're hearing that J.T. Russell, our reporter at the Election Commission, he's still waiting to be led into the Election Commission. So while we're waiting on that, we are going to chat briefly with our U.S. Representative Tim Burchett. Let's see if we can get him on the line real fast. Well, that didn't work. Apologies for blowing out any eardrums. I'm going to try the number again. Hopefully it doesn't.
Sorry, I couldn't get to the phone right now.
Okay. Hi, this is Robbie O'Daniel with the La Follette Press. We're looking to speak with...
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey,
Yes, hey, sorry, I missed your call.
Oh, yeah, this is Robbie O'Daniel with La Follette Press. We're looking to speak with Representative Burchett for a little bit.
Okay. 1 second.
Hey, brother, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? United States Representative Tim Burchett joining us on the La Follette Press election results show. How are you doing tonight, Representative?
I'm a little cold, a little tired, and a little hungry, but I'm about to resolve all of that here shortly, I hope.
Well, what's the? I've been seeing like the different posts and tweets and things like that. What's been the campaign you've been doing? A lot of door to door, door knocking.
Yeah, people are just angry right now. They're angry at Washington. It's unresponsive. They're angry about inflation. We got a Congress that's just spending money out of control. A president who's obviously not with it mentally, and I think that's just becoming more and more apparent. It's a Saturday Night Live skit. I haven't watched Saturday Night Live in years, but I think it just writes itself between him, the vice president, and our press secretary. I just don't see a lot coming out of that group right now, especially leadership, telling us that they're going to shut our coal plants down. We know we're getting ready to have a record cold winter, cut off our oil supplies. We're doing business with our enemies, and all they're worried about is their woke policies, paying off their left-wing friends with more garbage that won't ever pass the Senate, but still, that's what they spend all their time doing. And I think that's what Pelosi and the rest of this crew are going to be known for, and that's why people are at the polls.
Yeah, how do you feel that the midterms are going to shake out in terms of the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate and the majorities?
I think you'll see record numbers across the country. You're seeing that in Tennessee, and our races technically aren't contested. I have opposition. I take it serious, but they're not contested as you've seen in years past, and Americans are showing up and out in record numbers because of that. And I think they want their country back.
What are some of the things that you're really focused on, some of the issues that you're really focused on that you really want to see some change?
I'd like to see us just quit spending so much dadgum money. It's, we've spent 30 years now, I believe, and that's on the Republicans as well, but we haven't passed a budget. I mean, you don't have a church or a business or even a civic organization that doesn't have a budget. For goodness sakes, we haven't done that. I think we need to, I'd like to see as Leader McCarthy, Speaker McCarthy, has stated, the first vote we're going to take is defund that 87,000 new IRS agents. I haven't had one dadgum phone call from anybody saying we need more IRS agents. We just need somebody at the IRS to answer the dadgum phones. It's just the federal government is just too big. It's unresponsive, and we're going to have to start defunding. We're going to have to look at things like the Justice Department. Under Obama, they weaponized the IRS, and now Bunch has weaponized the
There was, something that really affected your personal life that, was on Twitter and everything that everybody saw was, can you take us through, I believe your daughter was in an accident at some point, and then she...
Yeah. I was in Washington one day out of a whole that young month on a piece of legislation that would not go anywhere in the Senate, but it was a major deal at the time. And I was just fed up with what was going on, and I walked to the house floor from my office to give a 1-minute speech, and I missed 2 calls from my wife. I was coming down the steps of the Capitol, and I looked down at my phone, and sergeant at arms, my chief of staff, sorry, it's a long day. My chief of staff called me and said that my daughter was in a ambulance headed to Children's Hospital, and she was alive, and that was about all we knew. She got run over by a horse, and so
Wow.
she don't weigh 100 pounds probably, and one of her horses, she had them tied to a fence post, and one of her horses had broke loose, and they ran through the field, and she did like all the cowboys do. They stood there with their hands up, kind of flagged down, and that, we got 60 acres of fences out here at the farm. I don't know. She should just let it run, but it ran right over the top of her. But a big hoop right on her chest. It ruptured her, and let's see, it messed up her spleen. Her pancreas was all jacked up, and broke 5 ribs, knocked her 5 braces out of her teeth, and I think broke her wrist as well. But God was good, and he's always been good to us, and he saved my little girl, and she had her final little bit of surgery there about 2 weeks ago, and they took almost 3 liters of fluid off of her little pancreas, and that's about 7 pounds, I guess, if you weigh it out. A buddy of mine figured it up, and but she'll probably be back on those horses in about 2 weeks. Doctors said she can get back on them. And she's a barrel racer, and she loves doing it. I told her I wish she'd done something safe like motorcycles, but anyway, but like I said, she's a tough little girl. I couldn't be more proud of her mama and I. Her mama's really done a good job. I married my wife. My wife was a widow, and Isabel's daddy's in heaven, but she's done a wonderful job raising my little girl. And until I got her when she was about 4 and a half, and me and her mama started dating her. She's 15 now. I adopted her, and she's all mine, but she is one tough little girl. She's a lot smarter than her daddy, I'll tell you that. She can speak foreign languages. She can play musical instruments. She can just pick it up and watch it on television and play it. She is just so smart. It's incredible to me. But I've been blessed beyond belief with a wonderful wife.
How long was
very
she?
gracious to me, and my little girl is wonderful. You're not getting ready to ask me how old my wife is, are you?
No. I was going to ask, how long was your daughter in East Tennessee Children's?
She was in Children's about 16 days, 3 days in intensive care, and she got out and was at UT for about 6 or 7 days there.
Mm.
But everybody gave her great care. It's the thing, we walked out there one day, and this fellow there was a heavy equipment operator, and his son had got a serious injury. And I told my wife, I said, what a country. I said, that got United States Congressman's daughter and a heavy equipment operator's son gets the same care, and nobody asks any questions. It's just people gripe about our health care, but it's the best in the world, and we have the best people in the world. The nurses, the physicians, the technicians, they're just wonderful people. I couldn't brag on them anymore.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the voters in Campbell County?
Yes, it's a pleasure representing y'all in Congress, and I hope I get that opportunity for the next 2 years. And please, if there's something we can ever do for you, I'll give you my phone number at the office, 865-523-3772. And we would love to come meet with you. If you got a group you want us to meet with or talk about an issue, or we'd love to have you. We'd love to come up and hang out.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, United States Representative Tim Burchett.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
See it. All right, and so we get closer on. We get closer and closer to hearing about. I knew that we weren't going to find out results at 8 o'clock, just like in the August election. So let's see. No results yet. For just looking at the comments here, no results yet. We're still waiting. Last update was that people weren't being let into the election commission yet. I'm gonna go ahead and get JT Russell on the line so that we can be ready as soon as possible when results start coming in.
Hey, it's JT.
Hey, JT. So this is sports editor JT Russell, who we've wrangled into helping with our election results coverage. JT Russell is stationed. Are you still outside the election commission, or are you inside?
We're inside. We are waiting on results at this point.
Okay. So waiting on results at this point. When do you think you'll have results in hand?
At this point, it feels like it could be any moment, but we haven't really been given a direct point of the timeline.
Okay. Any moment. So we'll go ahead and post an update there. JT, what's been the experience so far? Like, when did you get down there, and then what was the how many people are down there, and then when were you let in, and everything like that?
So headed down here, got down here at about 7:45. Went to the door, was told they'd let us in at 8. Waited around for a few minutes with some of the other local media members, and we were let in at 8, and now we're just hanging out here, enjoying each other's company and waiting for results.
That results are imminent. So we're, hearing from our reporter, our sports editor, JT Russell here, that at the election commission, that results are imminent. So tune into the election results show. Just talking out loud, trying to provide updates to everybody online. Obviously, we'll be looking, JT, when you do get the results in, be sure to focus in on those local races first. And one thing we'll be talking about, we should be getting the early and absentee votes first, and then we'll be looking at the different number of precincts as they come in. This one will be a little different than the August county election because obviously, just a specific amount of voters in the county will be, voting on the default races and the Jellicoe races and so on. We won't be so much focused on getting all of the precincts in for everything.
Gotcha. Yep. We'll be ready to lock in and check it out as soon as we get those results.
All right. I'm going to check on, while we're waiting, I'm going to check on the state side and see if we have any results in on some of the races that will be following from the state level. Let's see here from the state's Secretary of State Trey Hargett's office. Let's look and see. So we don't have any results yet on the United States House District 2, which is Tim Burchett versus Mark Harmon. We do have some races. Okay, so we're got our first results in. So from the state website, we have, and JT, break in as soon as you have results. Like, cut me off immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. So United States House District 3 results from the state website right now. Chuck Fleischman has a commanding lead. He's got 11,135 votes total. That's 80.55% of the vote. He's beating Meg Gorman, the Democratic candidate, who has 2,508 votes, 18.14% of the vote. Rick Tyler, an independent, has 111 votes, or 0.80%. And Thomas M. Marumba, another independent, has 69 votes, or 0.50%. It's looking like, from the breakdown, the counties that are in, there are several counties: Anderson, Bradley, Campbell, Hamilton, McMinn, Monroe, Morgan, Polk, Roane, Scott. All those counties are in this race for the United States House of Representatives District 3. Looks like the only counties that are in for that, though, right now are Bradley and Polk. So we don't really expect this to change much. We expect Chuck Fleischman to earn re-election in this race. But we still have plenty of results to come in on that one. Let's look at the constitutional amendments. So you'll recall that the different constitutional amendments. Constitutional Amendment 1, the results so far, 74.81% or 60,000 votes that are in say yes to Constitutional Amendment 1, which involves the right to work. And then no is 20,242 votes for no on Constitutional Amendment 1, or 25.19% of the vote. Then we look further into, let's look and see at the governor's race if we can find that. So Campbell, we still have no results entered for Campbell on the state website. So let's look and see if we can find, yes, the governor's race. So the governor's race, and wow. So from the little results that are in so far, Bill Lee has a commanding lead in the governor's race, 77.74% of the vote, or 77,953 votes. Jason Brantley Martin, the Democratic candidate, has 20,391 votes, or 20.34% of the vote. And then we have a breakdown that includes John Gentry, who's an independent. He has 840 votes, or 0.84% of the vote. Constance M. Every, an independent, has 408 votes, or 0.41% of the vote. Deborah Rouse, an independent, has 204 votes, or 0.20% of the vote. Rick Tyler, an independent, has 165 votes, or 0.16% of the vote. Charles Van Morgan, an independent, has 99 votes, or 0.10% of the vote. Alfred O'Neill, an independent, has 76 votes, or 0.08% of the vote. Basil Marceau, an independent, has 72 votes, or 0.07% of the vote. And Michael E. Scantland, an independent, has 62 votes, or 0.06% of the vote. The county breakdowns on that, obviously this is all 95 counties that are in play. Bledsoe have results in. Bradley has results in. Chester has results in. Claiborne has results in. Koch has results in. I'm trying to see if Jason Brantley Martin had a particularly good showing in any of these counties. Cumberland has votes in. Dixon County has votes in. Fentress County has votes in, and Bill Lee had 85% of the vote there, at least from what's in so far. Hamblin County has votes in for this governor's race. Hickman County has votes in. Houston County has votes in. Johnson County has votes in. Lewis County has votes in. Macon County has votes in. Some of these, like Macon County, for example, 83.67% of the vote for Bill Lee from the votes, at least the votes that are in now. Marion County, Marshall County, lots of counties that have votes in for the governor's race. Moore County, Perry County, Polk County, Robertson County. Here's one that Jason Martin's got a good showing in, but so Bill Lee has 57% of the vote. Jason Martin has 39, almost 40% of the vote there. Sequatchie County, Smith County has votes in for the governor. Trousdale County has votes in for the governor. Unicoi County has votes in for the governor. And Wayne County has votes in for the governor. So that's looking at just all the counties that have votes for the governor. JT, do we have any update as far as the local election commission stuff?
Nothing so far.
Okay. So nothing so far. We're still waiting. Waiting to see what's going to happen here. And so we'll continue to look at these statewide races, and we can see, let's look at Constitutional Amendment 2. It's a similar kind of breakdown. Yes, 74%, no, 25%, or around that for both of those. Constitutional Amendment 3, yes, 78%, no, 78.23%, and no, 21.77%. And then Constitutional Amendment 4, yes, 64.76%, no, 35.24%. Now, the races we'll be looking at locally closest, we have the LaFayette mayoral race, which involves Joe Bollinger, Cliff Jennings, and Bill Archer. We have the LaFayette City Council race, which they're going for 2 seats, and it's Brian St. John, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, Jimmy Marlowe, Mike Evans, Chuck Queener, and Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson. We have the Jellicoe mayoral race, which is Sandy Terry and Dwight Osborne are going for that. Dwight Osborne seeking re-election, and Sandy Terry, who's an alderwoman, is challenging him. Then we have 11 candidates that are running for 6 seats on the Jellicoe Board of Mayor and Aldermen. They're going to be electing their entire board. They do that all at once. So, and then the Carrollville Board of Mayor and Aldermen, they have 3 people running for re-election, but 2 people running for re-election. One person decided not to run for re-election, but it's essentially 3 unopposed races with the Carrollville Board tonight. So we'll be following all of that as we wait to see when the results will start to come in from Campbell County. And JT, any update there?
Nothing currently. Still kind of in a holding pattern at this point.
Any sort of ETA as far as when can we expect?
No, I feel like it's probably getting stretched out a little further than anticipated.
Oh, okay. So just stay there as our intrepid reporter on the scene at the Election Commission office. And let's see what else is going on around the state. Let's look and take a look at if we can look at the Tennessee House. So we have Tennessee House. Obviously, Dennis Powers running unopposed. He has 970 votes. That is 970 votes all from Claiborne. It's 3 counties. It's Campbell, Claiborne, and Union. And so, Dennis Powers has 970 votes to re-elect in that race. And we continue on here as we wait. Let's see, the U.S. I believe there's no change in the U.S. House District 3. District 2 has votes in now, and Tim Burchett, as expected, has the commanding lead. U.S. House District 2, Tim Burchett, the Republican, looking for re-election. He has 2,590 votes, or 83.47% of the vote. To Mark Harmon, the Democratic challenger, he has 513 votes, or 16.53% of the vote. And that's from the results that are in so far, which, again, it's Union, Loudoun, Knox, Jefferson, Granger, Claiborne, Campbell, and Blount. And the votes that are in are from Claiborne. So that's Tim Burchett's split in Claiborne. We'll follow and see how it turns out for the rest. The expectation would be that Tim Burchett will be reelected to the U.S. House District 3, or District 2 rather. And looks like there's no change on District 3 yet for the U.S. House. Looking at the governor's race and seeing if we have any more. It looks like we have more vote. We actually have more votes coming in. We have more votes in for the governor's race. So the updated look at the governor's race, Bill Lee, the Republican, seeking re-election, still has a commanding lead, 76.40% of the vote. It's 129,895 votes. Jason Brantley Martin, the Democrat, has 36,876 votes, or 21.69% of the vote. John Gentry, an independent, has 1,404 votes, or 0.83% of the vote. And no one else has at least 1,000 votes in the race. So Bill Lee, despite some of the controversies surrounding education that have happened this year, it seems like it's not really affecting, at least so far with the results coming in, it's not really affecting the outcome of his re-election campaign. And JT, is there any sort of update there at Election Commission?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but still nothing coming our way.
All right. Well, then we'll continue on looking at the various races at the state level and waiting to see when we find out the first votes. It's 8:25 now. I just remember in elections past we had received early and absentee at like 8 on the dot. The idea was that like, you know,
It seems like something's about to come our way.
okay, JT. So election results are imminent. So, JT, let me know as soon as you receive
We'll
anything.
do.
Okay. Alrighty. And we'll have I tell you what, JT, you can speak to this. JT, why don't you talk a little bit about you know, what people can look forward to from the sports section this week, because it's a truly packed sports section.
Oh, this week is a massive sports section with county tournament coverage for elementary school basketball. You know, football coverage, some great middle school football coverage. It truly covers it all. If you're looking to see, you know, all the great sports and athletes that cover our county, the sports edition of this week's Football Press really does that for you.
Yeah, we'll have exclusive county tournament coverage. Are they getting results?
Yeah, they're printing them right now. They're about to hand it to us.
Okay, they're printing results and handing to us right now. I've got it ready to post.
Yeah, as soon as I get it to read off to you, they're about to hand it to me.
Excellent. Good job, JT. And tell me.
Go.
Okay.
Just got the results.
All right, results. Is it early and absentee?
Let's see. This is. I'm not sure. Let me see. No, we're getting early. Don't see a lot of absentee, so yeah, probably just early.
Okay. Do we
Yeah.
have?
So we've got going to the mayor of Jellicoe. Sandy Terry leads 55% to 44% over Dwight Osborne with 105 votes. Osborne has 84 votes currently.
So it's exactly 55 to 44%.
55.56 to 44.44.
Okay. So is this early voting
Yes,
or is it
Yes.
early and absentee?
early voting.
It's only early voting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Early voting. Okay. So the Jellicoe mayor race, Sandy Terry leads 55. She has 55.56% of the vote to Dwight Osborne's 44.44% of the vote. Okay. Go on. La Follette mayor.
La Follette mayor, give me 1 second. City of La Follette mayor, Cliff Jennings holds a Cliff Jennings has 46.53% of the vote. Joe Bollinger, close behind, 27.33. Bill Archer, 26.14.
You said Bill Archer 26.14.
26.14, correct.
Okay, so I have La Follette mayor Cliff Jennings 46.53% of the vote. Joe Bollinger 27.33% of the vote. Bill Archer 26.14% of the vote.
Correct.
Okay. La Follette City Council.
Go ahead.
La Follette City Council.
La Follette City Council. Let's see. We've got Stephanie Grimm Solomon with a 29.29% of the vote. She leads the way.
Okay.
Close behind, William Chuck Queener, 19.18%. After him, Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 17.76%. Following Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, Mike Evans with 15.88%. Then we have Brian St. John with 10% exactly. And then following him is Jimmy Marlowe with 7.88%.
Okay, so La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.29%, is that right?
Correct.
William Chuck Queener, 19.18%. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson,
Correct.
17.76%. Is that correct? Mike Evans, 15.88%. Brian St. John, 10%. Jimmy Marlowe, 7.88%. Tell me Jellicoe Board of Mayor and Alderman.
Jellicoe, Board of Mayor and Alderman, we have a close race. We have Joe Creekmore has 13.32% of the vote, followed by Marty Boland, who has 12.47% of the vote. Then we have Sarah Beth Barton with 12.16% of the vote. Let's see, 6% of the vote. Then we have Jerry Neal, 10.89% of the vote, followed by, closely behind, let's see, Suzette Davenport with 10.57% of the vote. Then we have, Teresa Atkins, 9.83% of the vote, followed by Stan Merlo, 9.41% of the vote. Rodney Cornbread Minton, 9.20% of the vote. Then we have Courtney Evans, 6.98% of the vote. Then we have Clarence Beck, 3.28% of the vote. And followed out by Thelma Gibson with 1.9% of the vote.
Okay, so I have, let me just go ahead and post this real fast.
We just got early and absentee voting.
Okay. Let me read off Jellicoe Alderman real fast, and then we'll do that. Jellicoe Alderman, the top 6 win this. Joe Creekmore, 13.32% of the vote. Marty Bowen, 12.47%. Sarah Beth Barton, 12.16%. Jerry Neal, 10.89%. Suzette Davenport, 10.57%. Teresa Atkins, 9.83%. Stan Marlowe, 9.41%. Rodney Cornbread Minton, 9.20%. Courtney Evans, 6.98%. Clarence Beck, 3.28%. Thelma Gibson, 1.9%. Okay.
Did you get Marty Boland at 12.47?
Let me see. Marty Boland, 12.47. Yes.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So let me share that real fast. Okay, so go ahead and tell us. So you have early and absentee, and that's it, right?
Yes, early and absentee, just got it.
But no districts or anything.
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty, so let's go through the early and absentee update here. Hold on just a second. Let me get these posted.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, early and absentee votes. Let's hear it. Well, let's start with LaFollette Mayor.
Give me 1 second to get there. City of LaFollette Mayor Cliff Jennings still holds the lead with 47.33% of the vote. Joe Bollinger close behind, 26.89. Bill Archer following with 25.78.
What was the Joe Bollinger?
26.89.
And then Bill Archer?
25.78.
Okay, so LaFollette Mayor Cliff Jennings, 47.33%. Joe Bollinger, 27.89%. Bill Archer, 25.78%.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to LaFollette City Council.
LaFollette City Council, we have, 1 second, let me make sure everything's here. LaFollette City Council, we have Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.50% of the vote. We have William Chuck Queener with 18.67% of the vote.
Wait, can you
Hot Rod? Oh, go ahead.
hold on just 1 second?
Okay.
Because the Jellicoe Mayor's Office just posted something, and I was wondering what it was.
Okay.
It looks like the Jellicoe Mayor's Office. It looks like Jellicoe Mayor Dwight Osborne is. It looks like from his post, he is he's giving his speech as far as realizing that he's lost. He says, "Thank you, Jellicoe. Thank you, Jellicoe, for the opportunity to serve you for the past 4 years. Thank you to all those who voted for me. I wish the best of luck to our town in the future. The next term of the mayor and alderman begins on December 19th, 2022. So let's see if that holds up. They might be hearing more locally than what we've seen so far. So sorry about that. Let me
Quite all right.
let me get this going here. All right, so early and absentee voting, where were we? So what we have so far, early and absentee voting, La Follette Mayor, Cliff Jennings, 47.33%, Joe Bollinger, 27.89%, Bill Archer, 25.78%. La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.50%, right?
Yes.
All right, okay, go on.
We had William Chuck Weiner, 18.67%, followed by Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson at 18.12%. Mike Evans, following Hot Rod Wilson at 16.02%. Then we have Brian St. John at 10.17%. And finally, Jimmy Marlowe at 7.51%.
Okay, so La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.50%. William Chuck Queener, 18.67%. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 18.12%. Mike Evans, 16.02%. Brian St. John, 10.17%. Jimmy Marlowe at 7.51%. So it's looking like Stephanie Grimm Solomon's going to be reelected, or she's going to be elected. She was appointed before. She was elected in the past, but she looks like she's going to get reelected based on her appointment. And Chuck Queener and Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 18.67% versus 18.12%. That is so tight. Okay, Jellicoe Mayor, early and absentee voting.
What was Jellicoe Mayor?
Yes.
Jellicoe Mayor. Let's flip back over real quick. We have Sandy Terry still leads 53.39%, with Dwight Osborne at 46.61%.
Okay, so Jellicoe Mayor Sandy Terry leads with 53.39%. Dwight Osborne with 46.61%. And then Jellicoe Alderman.
Jellicoe Alderman. Let's see. Jellicoe Alderman, we have Sarah Beth Barton takes control with 13.10%. Followed by Joe Creekmore, 12.36%. Then we have Marty Boland at 12.17%. We have Jerry Neal still hovering around 10 with 10.78%. Then we have Teresa Adkins, 9.94%. Then we have Stan Marlowe and Rodney Cornbread Minton tied at 9.01%. Then we have Courtney Evans, 7.34%. And we're just getting more results here. Where did I stop? I stopped at Courtney Evans, correct?
Yes.
Then we've got Clarence Beck, 3.35%. And then Selma Gibson at 2.32%.
Okay, so I have Jellicoe Alderman, early and absentee voting. Sarah Beth Barton, 13.10%. Joe Creekmore, 12.36%. Marty Boland, 12.17%. Jerry Neal, 10.78%. Teresa Adkins, 9.94%. Stan Marlowe, 9.01%. Rodney Cornbread Minton, 9.01%. Courtney Evans, 7.34%. Clarence Beck, 3.35%. Thelma Gibson, 2.32%. Okay, and you said that we've got more votes.
Yeah, election day voting is now coming in with 7 of the 23 precincts reporting.
Okay. All right, 7. So early absentee and 7 precincts reporting is what this is, correct?
Yeah, 7 of, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well,
La Follette, what?
Go ahead, sorry.
It's early absentee and 7 precincts reporting, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, La Follette Mayor.
La Follette Mayor, we have Cliff Jennings leading 46.14%. Joe Bollinger at 27.24%, and then Bill Archer at 26.61%.
Okay, so La Follette Mayor Cliff Jennings, 46.14%. Joe Bollinger, 27.24%. Bill Archer, 26.61%. All right, La Follette City Council.
La Follette City Council, we have Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.87%, followed by, here we go, we got William Chuck Queener still hanging around at 18.07%. Then we have Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 17.04%. Then we have Mike Evans at 16.39%. We have Brian St. John at 10.86%. And then finally Jimmy Marlowe at 7.77%.
Okay, so La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.87%. William Chuck Queener, 18.07%. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 17.04%. Mike Evans, 16.39%. Brian St. John, 10.86%. And Jimmy Marlowe, 7.77%. What about Jellicoe Mayor?
We don't have any election day voting on that yet.
Okay, and Jellicoe Alderman neither?
Yeah, same deal.
All right, cool. So we're still waiting on that. And so we'll try to update as we go on. JT, why don't you read through while I'm making some posts and contacting people? Why don't you read through the latest that we have on Jellicoe Mayor and then the Jellicoe Alderman again?
Gotcha. So the latest we have on the Jellicoe Mayor, Sandy Terry leads Dwight Osborne by a score. I don't know why I said that.
You're a sports editor.
0.39%. Yeah, sports editor coming out inside. She leads 53.39% to 46.61%. She's held a strong lead throughout early voting, but I will say Dwight Osborne did win absentee voting.
Okay. Well, it seems like they maybe know some precinct data to where Dwight Osborne feels like he needs to go ahead and wish Sandy Terry well, is what it's sounding like. But I guess we'll find out shortly.
Heading over to, like you said, Alderman, City of Jellicoe. We've got still Joe Creekmore hanging around. 12% was at 12.36% right now. Sarah Beth Barton, who thoroughly won absentee voting with 20% of the vote, has surged back past up Joe Creekmore. She now has a 13.10% total of the votes right now, which is tops among all running. We have Marty Boland sitting at 12.17%, then followed by, quickly, Jerry Neal, 10.78%. Jerry Neal is followed very closely by Suzette Davenport, who's at 10.59% of the vote. Let's see, Teresa Adkins has 9.94% of the vote. Then we come to the oddity of the group. We have a tie at 9.01% of the vote, with Stan Marlowe and Rodney Cornbreadman tied at 9.01% of the vote. Courtney Evans has 7.34% of the vote. Clarence Beck sitting at 3.35%. And then Thelma Gibson, 2.32%.
All righty. And so could you take us through our last La Follette, our most recent La Follette update?
Yeah, most recent La Follette update. Cliff Jennings is leading the mayoral race with 46.14% of the vote. Joe Bollinger is sitting at 27.24% of the vote. Bill Archer is sitting at 26.61% of the vote. Give me a second here real quick. Then we have City of La Follette council members. Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 29.87%, followed behind by William Chuck Queener, 18.07%. Then we have Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 17.04%. Mike Evans is sitting at 16.39%. Brian St. John is at 10.86% of the vote, and Jimmy Marlowe has 7.77% of the vote.
Okay, any sort of look at if we're going to have any more
I
results?
think we're about to get some more here real quick.
All right, let us know as soon as possible.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay, and I'm going to reach out to Chuck Queener.
Printing currently, should be handed to us. in a
Okay,
second.
so the next results involve Chuck Queener. Or next I'm talking and doing something at once. Stephanie Grimm-Solomon is supposed to be on her way, so I may have to step away for a second to let her in if she comes in soon. But I would say
Gotcha.
that it's extremely likely that she's going to.
Here you go. They're handing it to us right now.
All right, here we go. How many precincts?
This is 12 precincts, 12 of 23 precincts reporting.
So this is early absentee and 12 precincts reporting, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, La Follette Mayor.
Let's see, I'm getting there. La Follette Mayor Cliff Jennings leads 48.70% of the vote. Bill Archer has passed Joe Bollinger. Bill Archer now has 26.72% of the vote. Joe Bollinger has 24.58% of the vote.
Okay, and you said Cliff Jennings had how much?
48.70.
Okay, so La Follette Mayor, early absentee and 12 precincts reporting. Cliff Jennings has 48.70% of the vote. Bill Archer has 26.72% of the vote. Joe Bollinger has 24.58% of the vote. What about La Follette City Council?
La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm-Solomon leads 27.34% of the vote. We have William Chuck Queener with 17.64% of the vote. Mike Evans has 16.98% of the vote. Let's see. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson with 15.93% of the vote. Brian St. John, 11.85% of the vote. And Jimmy Marlowe with 10.25% of the vote.
Okay, so La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm-Solomon with 27.34% of the vote. William Chuck Queener with 17.64% of the vote. Mike Evans with 16.98% of the vote. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson with 15.93% of the vote. Brian St. John with 11.85% of the vote. And Jimmy Marlowe with 10.25% of the vote. What about Jellicoe Mayor?
Still nothing from Jellicoe.
Okay, so we're still waiting on updates from Jellicoe.
Yep.
All right, well, can you remind us again of the latest update we have for Jellicoe? We're waiting on more results.
So the latest update for our Jellicoe City Mayor, Sandy Terry leads Dwight Osborne. She has 53.39% of the vote. Dwight Osborne has 46.61% of the vote. Looking at the City of Jellicoe Alderman, we have Sarah Beth Barton leading with 13.10% of the vote. Joe Creekmore has 12.36% of the vote. Followed closely behind Marty Boland, 12.17% of the vote. Then we go down to Jerry Neal, 10.78% of the vote. Followed closely behind by Suzette Davenport, 10.59% of the vote. Teresa Adkins sits squarely in the race with 9.94% of the vote. We have Stan Barlow and Rodney Cornbread Minton still tied at 9.01% of the vote. We have Courtney Evans at 7.34% of the vote. Clarence Beck, 3.35%. And Thelma Gibson, 2.32%.
All right, and can you recap the La Follette numbers again?
Yep. La Follette, starting out with City Mayor, Cliff Jennings, sitting at 48.70% of the vote. Then we have Bill Archer, who's overtaken Joe Bollinger. Bill Archer has 26.72% of the vote. Joe Bollinger has 24.58% of the vote. For the city council members of La Follette, Stephanie Groom Solomon has 27.34% of the vote. Then we have Mike Evans, William Chuck Queener, 17.64% of the vote. Mike Evans, 16.98% of the vote. Then we have Ronnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.93% of the vote. Brian St. John, 11.85% of the vote. And finally, Jimmy Marlowe with 10.25% of the vote.
All righty. Any other, are we getting more results soon?
Nothing that we've heard of quite yet, no. But I'll keep you updated as soon as we get them.
Oh, okay. I think Stephanie Grimm-Solomon, I need to go let her in real fast. So if you could just recap again the La Follette and Jellicoe numbers.
Gotcha, will do. They're saying that Elk Valley and Habersham numbers are on their way, so we should get some more numbers here soon. But just to recap, we have La Follette City Mayor Cliff Jennings, 48.70% of the vote. Bill Archer, 26.72% of the vote. Joe Bollinger, 24.58% of the vote. City of La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.34% of the vote. Followed by William Chuck Queener, 17.64% of the vote. Then we have Mike Evans, 16.98% of the vote. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 18.93% of the vote. Then we have, Brian St. John, 11.85% of the vote. Jimmy Marlowe, 10.25% of the vote.
Okay. JT, is there any other updates so far?
No, nothing currently.
Okay, so we're joined here by Stephanie Grimm-Solomon, who I think we can confidently say is going to be elected to the La Follette City Council. We'll be continuing on with the City Council. How do you feel about this?
I'm excited, Robbie. I'm very honored to be able to serve, another 4 years with the council, with the mayor, and just to be able to finish out projects we've started the last few years. And it's a great time to be in La Follette. Things are changing, and we've got a lot of good stuff going on, and I'm excited.
What's the campaign been like, and how does it feel like now that it's over?
Well, of course you're when it's over with, you're relieved. But it's always a fun time. You meet people and that you haven't been acquainted with before, who live in the city, and you encounter people who have great ideas and things they want to see implemented. So it's been a good campaign, and people have, we were talking today. I worked at La Follette Middle School, and we were, all the candidates were talking among ourselves how, we had a good day up there. There, no contention. Everybody was amicable. It was a good day. So that's how the race has been.
Do you mind letting Chuck Queener in through there? I think he's waiting. So we're just kind of going by, we haven't really super looked at like which precinct is where. At 12, are all the precincts in from what you hear? Or?
Yes, best of my knowledge, all the precincts are in, and the last thing that we heard was the early voting numbers. So I believe everything is tallied up.
Yeah. So are you surprised? I mean, you're the leading vote getter, and it's not particularly close.
Right. I am surprised,
yeah.
And you're always. It's humbling, and I'm thankful. I appreciate that the voters in La Follette put their faith in me to represent them and things that we do, and listen to their opinions, and just be their voice. And I'm excited and I'm honored that they would choose me.
Do you consider this as kind of a mandate that what you're doing is the right thing to do?
I think, yeah, I believe it is.
What are some things that you're looking at, like you really are excited about getting into, sinking your teeth into over the next 4 years for the City Council?
one of the big projects we have going on, is the amphitheater, and we've seen such a success probably with the food truck park. Just one night a week, with those few short weeks that we were able to do it, and being able to implement things, bring that back to the city, and be able to use that with the amphitheater space, and do free movie night for families. Bring your lawn chair, and you'll have a food truck, or pack your picnic, and just bring your family, and just a good, clean, safe place where we can provide things for people with kids, and so that you can come down there and you're not going to spend an arm and a leg going to a movie. You can come down there, pack a sandwich, bring your lawn chair, and have a nice evening, in a place that's clean and it's pretty.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the maybe the criticisms that you hear of La Follette, and then how would you address some of those?
Right. We everybody's always quick to jump and to judge, and you always hear that before you hear a compliment. But people talking about we need to combat drugs, we need to do better there, we need to combat homelessness, we need to clean our city up. We're looking at things now to be able to do that, and a lot of those things go hand in hand. Homelessness with drug addiction, and properties being dilapidated. So all those are kind of intertwined. And so when you start, as I like to call it, you peel the onion back and see what's the root cause here. Where is this? Where is this coming from? So you attack that from there.
Aaron Solomon, but we're about to get more results here.
Okay, do you mind hanging tight for
No,
a
not at
second?
all.
Okay, so how many? What's the precincts here?
It's going to be 17 to 23.
Okay, is there any change on the La Follette numbers?
We're about to get them. They're printing right now. They're about to hand them to us.
Okay. I want to tell you La Follette numbers, and you tell me if there's change.
Okay, give me 1 second, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
As soon as they hand them to us, I'll give you the heads up to go.
Okay. Do you almost have it? How close is it?
I mean, the we're looking with the printer right now. As soon as they all finish, they're going to come over and hand it to us.
Okay. It really is just always waiting,
Sorry for
waiting,
interrupting.
and then it all happens at once.
Hurry up
it
and
really
wait.
is,
Yep.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, well, while we wait, are there any procedural things that you're interested in? I'm thinking about, the round table. I'm thinking about, some people have talked about, department head reports. They do that, I think, in Carable, where they actually, give the
Here we go,
reports.
17 of 23.
Okay. So 17 of 23. La Follette Mayor Cliff Jennings, 48.70%. Is that the same?
Give me 1 second to get there.
Okay.
It is. Cliff Jennings has expanded his lead. He now leads 49.15% of the vote.
Okay, so he now has 49.15, so there is some change. Okay, so 49.15% for Cliff Jennings.
Bill Archer, 26.37% of the vote.
26.37% of the vote for Bill Archer.
Yep. Joe Bollinger, 24.48.
Okay.
And that's City of La Follette Mayor. What would you like next?
City Council.
Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.15% of the vote. We still have William Chuck Queener behind her, 17.80% of the vote. Then we have Mike Evans, 17.05% of the vote.
Wow.
Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.98% of the vote. Then we have Ryan St. John, 11.76% of the vote. And then Jimmy Barlow, 10.26% of the vote.
Okay, so La Follette Mayor, this is early absentee in 17 precincts. La Follette Mayor Cliff Jennings with 49.15% of the vote. Bill Archer with 26.37%. Joe Bollinger with 24.48%. So it's pretty safe to say Cliff Jennings is going to be the mayor of La Follette. La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.15%. William Chuck Quinter, 17.80%. Mike Evans, 17.05%. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.98%. Brian St. John, 11.76%. Jimmy Marlowe, 10.26%. And we're thinking that might be the end of our La Follette voting. And Jellicoe Mayor,
Correct.
Any update there?
Jellicoe Mayor Sandy Carey leads with 60.52% of the vote. Dwight Osborne has 39.48% of the vote.
So it's looking like Jellicoe is going to have its first ever female mayor. Sandy Terry was 60.52% of the vote. Dwight Osborne, the incumbent, 39.48%, and then Jellicoe alderman.
Jellicoe alderman, Sarah Beth Barton still leads with 13.68% of the vote. It is Joe Creekmore sitting at 12.98% of the vote. Then we have Suzette Davenport, 11.81% of the vote. Then we have, Teresa Adkins, 10.18% of the vote. Jerry Neal, 10.02% of the vote. We have Stan Marlowe, 8.97% of the vote. Rodney Cornbread Minton, 8.28% of the vote. Then we have Courtney Evans, 7.54% of the vote. Then we have Clarence Beck, 3.38% of the vote. Then we have Thelma Gibson, 2.49% of the vote.
Okay, so right now, if it ended right now, it'd be Sarah Beth Barton, Joe Creekmore, Suzette Davenport, Teresa Atkins, Jerry Neal, and Stan Marlowe would be in. And the cutoff, Stan Marlowe's at 8.97%, and Rodney Cornbreadman's at 8.28%.
Yeah.
Okay, if that sticks, basically all the incumbents are going to remain. Okay.
Looking that way.
All right. Okay, so we'll go back and feel free to just interject as soon as you have any results.
Will do.
Okay. All righty. So, yeah, as we were talking earlier, before, we started talking about the vote, what were you talking about? I know it's been a little bit since then, but just in terms of, what we wanted to sink your teeth into.
Well, we were on the way down here, my husband and I were talking about, it's a shame and it's sad to watch your employees and your department heads cringe every time there's an election. Yeah. And I really would like to see them, I want them to feel stable in their jobs. If you do a good job, you should be rewarded for that. If you're not doing a good job, then you should be called on the carpet for it, be held accountable. And, in saying that, if we need to look at contracts for our department heads, something to give them that's tangible to say, no matter who's elected, that, I have a job because I do a good job. Mm-hmm. So that's important to me, that people feel stable in their jobs.
So how would that work exactly? Would it be kind of staggered, or would there be a good period between an election result and when that contract would come due?
That's a question. I don't know what that looks like. And I would like to get with MTAS, somebody who, works at the city already, who has something similar in that they're incorporating in their city. And there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. But if we can take something that MTAS has and tweak it to our needs, just so that we have something to give our employees, and they have some sort of security. Mm-hmm. So they're not every 2 years just holding their breath. No one should work under that environment.
And then the procedural things we're talking about, like the roundtable that started a couple months ago, and then also the idea of maybe department heads actually reading the reports like they do in Terrible.
Yes.
How do you feel about some of those?
Oh, I love the roundtables.
Yeah.
We have gotten so much accomplished there, and Robbie, it's one of those that we talked before, it's like, how did we get anything done before we had this? Yeah. How do all the good discussion, and it's really a great time for folks to come in and say, hey, what about this, or we like this idea, and bring ideas to the table. Come there, or email us, anything. Just let us know what you're thinking. But I really enjoy the roundtables, but that's a long, it's a long day, mm-hmm. and for people who don't have flexibility in their job, getting there. But if they know ahead of time things they want us to discuss, just get it to us. But the roundtables have been a really good use of our time.
Okay, cool. Anything else, Jill? What would be your message to the voters who voted you back in the city council?
Well, first of all, I appreciate their support and their vote of confidence. And anybody who knows about running a campaign or election, you don't do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. And I have a wonderful family, and I have wonderful friends, and a support system that you know that they're there. But when the rubber meets the road, you realize how big that system is, and you can't do it by yourself. And so I appreciate the people, like I said, who voted for me and who support me. And
we have 20 of 23 precincts reporting.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and let you go.
Thank you
so much. Stephanie Grimm-Solomon, reelected to the LaFayette City Council. And we're going to get one more quick update, and then we'll welcome in William Chuck Queener in to talk to him. Okay, so early absentee and 20 precincts reporting out of 23. La Follette mayor.
1 second.
Okay, so is there any of them La Follette races here? Like,
No, it looks to be the same. Cliff is still at 49.15, Bill Archer 26.37, Joe Bollinger 24.48.
and then La Follette City Council is obviously the same as well. Solomon,
Greg
27.15.
Solomon, 27.15, 17.80, Chuck Queener,
Okay, so
17.05, Mike Evans.
we're probably done with those races. So then, Jellicoe mayor.
Jellicoe Mayor, Sandy Carey, 60.52% of the vote. Dwight Osborne, 39.48% of the vote.
Okay, that didn't change either. Jellicoe alderman. Sarah Beth Barton, 13.68.
Yeah, Sarah Beth Barton, 13.68% of the vote.
Okay, so I don't know what those three precincts were. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and welcome in Chuck Queener into the broadcast here. We also have Brandon Johnson here. He's affiliated with Caryville Cares Playground. Have you heard of the Caryville Cares Playground? That one. All right. So it's looking like Chuck Queener, you're elected to La Follette City Council. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm excited, a little nervous, tired. It's been a very long process, probably the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. It's taking me completely out of my comfort zone to go and knock on doors and talk to people. But it's been a good experience, and first off, I want to thank God because without Him, I'm nothing. And then I thank my family. They have been behind me through all this and worked hard to help me get there. And I thank all my friends that have helped me along the way. And then I thank the citizens of La Follette for entrusting me to take on this responsibility. And I pledge to work hard for them and to always be available and be their voice. So I'm ready to get to work.
Cool. So what did I don't know if we covered this before. Was this something that you always saw yourself getting involved in? Because you said that you don't have any political experience, right?
None.
So was this something that you always saw yourself eventually getting involved in, or was it just kind of like, no, something changed?
Well, I've just always been one of those taxpayers that's kind of complained about how our money is squandered on different things, and everybody fusses in the background, and I finally just decided that it was time to roll my sleeves up and try to make a difference, and so that's what we did, and it paid off, and I'm very satisfied. This is my first time ever trying to obtain any kind of political office, and so it's paid off, and I'm happy about it.
And it was so close. I think Mike Evans is like something like 0.5% behind.
Very close. Very close.
What was it like for you as you were watching the results come in?
Well, it was nerve-wracking because Mike was leading by 6, he was leading by 8, he was leading by 10. It was, and so I had almost decided I'll be preparing my concession speech and then got the early voting numbers in. So I was really shocked, but. I think the other candidates, this has been a very clean race. There's not been any mudslinging or backbiting or anything like that. We have all been very congenial with each other, and I look forward to working with the council and try to progress La Follette forward.
Well, what are those kind of issues that you really can't wait to sink your teeth into?
So, as I had said in our debate, I'm very passionate about revitalizing La Follette. I want to get our downtown built back up and get some attractions. We have North Lake here. We have a lot of tourists coming in for that. We have Rockwell Blue, and a lot of tourists are coming in for that. But we don't really have anything to keep those folks here in town. So if it's a rainy day on the lake, they all head to Knoxville to do something. And I want to see that change. I want to see us have things in our city to keep them here. I want to see the city council go outside of our borders. We don't stop just at the city limits. I want us to work with the county commissioners to try to develop a partnership, and let's work together to try to get some industry into our county. My idea is if the county succeeds, then our city automatically succeeds. So if we can all work together on that, then it's just going to make it a better place. But I'm very passionate about our kids too. I grew up here, and we had all kinds of activities for the kids to do. We had the movie theater, we had bowling alleys, we had skating rinks and arcades, and we just had all kinds of activities to keep us out of trouble. And now we look back and we don't have anything. Countywide, we don't really have anything for our kids. We have Raging Axes has opened up in downtown La Follette, and we have talked numerous times with Dale, and he's got a great little establishment going there, and it's very family friendly, and we wish him all the best with this. But we want to see more. We want to see more things for our kids. We have intramural sports. Johnny does a great job with the rec center and coordinating all that stuff. But everybody's not, all kids don't play sports.
Right.
I never was a sports kid, so I had to look for other activities. And so we need to have things to keep our kids involved.
But do you have any opinion as far as the procedural things? I think some studies were talking about like the department heads reading reports, or the roundtable, which was just started like a couple of months ago.
Right. So I actually attended one of the roundtable sessions this past month, and I do think that's a great tool to help with the council. As far as concerning the department heads, I would love to see our department heads be there to read the reports in front of the citizens. I know the roundtable is open to the citizens, but it's conducted so early in the afternoon that a lot of working people can't get there. So if we could figure out a way to make that work, because I would really like to see our citizens more involved. Not just when there's a negative topic coming up to be voted on. I'd like to see our citizens involved in every aspect, to where that should be kind of our guiding force of what the council works towards.
All right. Well, anything else that you'd like to add? What would you say to the people who voted for you?
Thank you all. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, and I pledge to work hard for you, and we'll always do the right thing. So.
All right. Thank you so much. I knew La Follette City Councilman Chuck Queener.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. All right, JT, any other updates? We're still waiting on the last of the precincts to come in.
Final 3 precincts should be here pretty soon.
Okay.
Waiting on the final few to pull in here. So keep you updated as it arrives, I guess.
All righty. Once you get the results in, we'll have to see, once you get the results in, I think there were a couple parties, but I don't know if those of you have wound down or not yet. But yeah, could you take us through, while we're waiting, could you take us through a couple of the,
Okay. Thank you. Same to you.
Well, I think we have our new La Follette mayor coming in for a quick interview. Go ahead and join us.
Where you want me to sit, sir?
Right here is
Okay.
good. Let me make sure you're in a shot when you sit down.
Okay.
All right, so we're here with new La Follette mayor Cliff Jensen, and what do you think about all this tonight?
Well, I'm really honored, It's been a long time since I've been the mayor, and I'm just tickled to death, to be honest about it. And I'm looking forward to working with the council. I think they will find out that I'm a totally different mayor. I don't micromanage, or I don't try to run each department. And that's why we have department heads. That's why we have a council. And while I've been campaigning, I have noticed 2 or 3 items that I think the public really wants me to work on, and I will ask council. I always ask my council, name me 3 things that you really want to see done. while we're here. And then I take those things and I put them together, and many times they will overlap each other. So we may wind up with just two. And if you work with your council, you help them accomplish the goals that they set forth. That's what makes you a good mayor.
What are those three things that people have been telling you?
Well, the biggest thing is the homeless situation. We've got a bad problem with it. Another thing is paving. And, I had a 5-year road program when I was mayor. Every 5 years we had new roads. The former mayor, and I'm not talking about Mr. Farmer, I'm talking about the other mayor.
Mike Stanfield.
Yes. Anything that Cliff Jennings had anything to do with, he chose to demolish. And it's caught up with us. We need better roads more than anything. And another thing is our city needs cleaned up. When I was mayor before, we burned or tore down over 130 dwellings. And as I come through town nowadays and look around, many of the new homes that I see are where those dwellings were when we tore them down. So I think we need to look forward to clean our town up. That's the three main things while campaigning that I ran across.
Yeah. And so I guess in terms of what made you decide to, like you said, it's been a while since you've been the mayor of La Follette. What made you decide to go ahead and run again?
Well, I had no intentions of running. I didn't need the job. And I'm not saying this in to be facetious in no way, but La Follette needed Cliff Jennings more than I needed the job. And that's why I'm so honored. I think people realize that La Follette needed a little leadership, a little guidance, and I'm proud that they chose me to do that. The reason I ran was we had another individual, a good friend of mine, that we had planned to run and support him, and he chose not to seek the office at this time, and it left us with a last-minute decision, and I was it.
Mm-hmm. So do you plan on running in 2 years for re-election?
I doubt that.
Okay.
I really do.
If you put a percentage on that, what would you say?
I'd say it's no, it's just not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
Speaking of percentages, you had about 50% of the vote. It wasn't particularly close. So did you expect that?
I don't think nobody expects that. I knew out campaigning, we had a great response. We really did. We had a great response. And I'm going to give two fellas credit, and plus my wife. I want to make sure I get her in there because she did the calling and stuff and all that. But Johnny Burge and I have been close friends for 40 years, okay? When he started in politics with me, he was a 17, 18-year-old kid, okay? And I'm going to tell you another guy that they don't give enough credit, and that's Scotty Kitts. Scotty Kitts has stuck with me from the first day we knocked the first door till today. He pushed me to no end up at the middle school, and we was able to carry it 3-1. Sorry about that.
Voice call from Pleasant.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any opinions as far as some of the procedural stuff? I'd asked the city council people about, they just instituted the monthly roundtable a couple months ago. Do you think that's a good what they're doing? And then also, I think Chuck Queener had mentioned, having department heads actually read out the reports, similar to how like the Carable Board does during their meetings.
Well, I've got enough sense to be the mayor that I'm going to let council make those decisions. Okay, that's not I told you what my priorities are, and if I can get those through, I'll be tickled to death. Originally, I am, as the mayor, the first person to ever start the workshops. Okay, when I was a young man running, they'd get 3 votes, and the heck with what you thought. They would pass pass. You wouldn't even know what was on the agenda. So I made that decision many years ago. Council picked it up. They liked it, and we've continued with workshops. The county now does the same thing, and it gives every board member a chance to know what he or she is going to make a decision on. And good information, a good understanding makes for good decisions.
How would you address, like, some of the common criticisms that you hear about the city of La Follette? How would you address it and go about, like, what's your plan to kind of mitigate some of these things?
Well, I don't know. Give me an example.
Like you were talking about, like, some of the issues that you were hearing from people. Like, what are some of the plans that you have in place in terms of, like, attacking some of those issues?
Okay, you want one of them?
Sure.
Okay, let's take cleaning up the city. I think what the city needs is an officer, a police officer, that can go and make, if he goes or she goes in and says, all right, you're not following the codes to this point, it says a lot. Now, what I want to do is, I understand that Clinton has a superb program that is working. It's not my decision, or not my, I didn't think it up, Clinton did. I want to go to Clinton. I want to see how their system works. I understand it is working, and if it'll work for them, why will it not work for us? But I think the codes needs to be put, I don't say under the police department, but it needs to be somebody with authority. Your codes enforcement officer needs to have that authority. And until we give he or she that, I don't think they carry the clout they should.
Oh, what would you say to the people who voted for you?
Thanks. Thanks a million. I'm not the perfect candidate. I'm not the perfect person. Had I been running for Pope, I would have got defeated, okay? And I've made some mistakes in my life. And I'm just so honored and humbled to be elected again after people has made the decision that I was a good mayor. And I love talking about my record as your mayor, because we accomplished so much with some pretty tough circumstances. And I'm just honored that, especially by the amount I won by, which wasn't a big turnout, but out of the turnout, it was pretty good. And that just tells me that people had enough faith in me to be a good mayor again.
Thank you so much, our new La Follette City Mayor, Cliff Jennings.
Thank you
so much.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. All right, JT, any other updates from the Election Commission? JT, are you still there? JT, are you listening to your phone right now? Okay, well, JT seems to be, he's still on the line, but he's away from his phone or something. We're going to take a quick look at the state races and see if we can provide some updates on those. Let's look at the governor's race. The governor's race, from the results that we have in right now, Bill Lee with a commanding lead. He's got 512,147 votes. That's 74.05% of the vote. Jason Brantley Martin, the Democrat, has 166,081 votes, or 24.01% of the votes. And then everyone else has less than 6,000 votes total. Alrighty, and so we'll go through those. John Gentry, an independent, has 5,789 votes, or 0.84% of the vote. Constance M. Every, an independent, has 3,337 votes, or 0.48% of the vote. Deborah Rouse, an independent, has 1,259 votes, or 0.18% of the vote. Rick Tyler, an independent, has 982 votes, or 0.14% of the vote. Charles Van Margran, an independent, has 687 votes, or 0.10% of the vote. Basil Marceau, an independent, has 592 votes, or 0.09% of the vote. Alfred O'Neill, an independent, has 463 votes, or 0.07% of the vote. Michael E. Scantland, an independent, has 328 votes, or 0.05% of the vote. Okay. And so, moving on, let's get a quick update on the local races for people who are maybe just now tuning in. So, what we have, the latest that we have from JT is early absentee and 20 precincts reporting. JT, are you there?
JT is here.
Okay, is there any update?
No updates at the moment. Still waiting on the final 3 precincts.
What do we know what those 3 precincts are?
We know that one is Habersham and Clinchmore, and Newcomb, but Newcomb is here.
Okay. So are you about to get handed new results, or are we still waiting?
Oh no, we're still.
Okay. So we're thinking that the LaFollette results are final, right?
Yes.
And we're just waiting on the Jellicoe results. We're really, Sandy Terry has such a big lead that we're really waiting on the Jellicoe Alderman results.
Yeah.
Which could be interesting because you got, I don't know how many voters there are out in those precincts, but you've got Stan Marlowe, who's got just a small lead over Rodney Cornbread Minton. The most recent we have early absentee in 20 precincts reporting. LaFollette Mayor Cliff Jennings, 49.15% of the vote. Bill Archer, 26.37% of the vote. Joe Bollinger, 24.48% of the vote. LaFollette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.15% of the vote. William Chuck Queener.
All right, so we have everybody here, so we should be getting results shortly.
Okay. William Chuck Queener, 17.80% of the vote. Mike Evans, 17.05% of the vote. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.98% of the vote. Brian St. John, 11.76% of the vote. Jimmy Marlowe, 10.26% of the vote. Jellicoe Mayor Sandy Terry, 60.52% of the vote. Looks like we'll have our first female mayor in Jellicoe. Dwight Osborne, 39.48% of the vote. Jellicoe Alderman Sarah Beth Barton, 13.68% of the vote. Joe Creekmore, 12.98% of the vote. Suzette Davenport, 11.81% of the vote. Teresa Adkins, 10.18% of the vote. Jerry Neal, 10.02% of the vote. Stan Marlowe, 8.97% of the vote. Rodney Cornbread Minton, 8.28% of the vote. Courtney Evans, 7.54% of the vote. Clarence Beck, 3.38% of the vote. And Thelma Gibson, 2.49% of the vote. And let's see, as we try to reach, we'll try to get Sandy Terry on the line for a phone call here shortly, once we have the final results in from JT. And looking again at some of the statewide results, let's look at U.S. House District 2. Tim Burchett, 77.97% of the vote, 49,791 votes to Mark Harmon, the Democrat, 14,067 votes, or 22.03% of the vote. And that looks like every county is in except for Knox in that, and Union. So in Campbell in particular, Tim Burchett had 83.04% of the vote to Mark Harmon's 16.96% of the vote. Tim Burchett with 3,061 votes to Mark Harmon's 625. Then we look at U.S. House District 3. And Chuck Flashman is looking to win with 66.90% of the vote, or 85,114 votes, to Meg Gorman's 40,392 votes, or 31.75% of the vote. Rick Tyler, an independent, with 1,044 votes, or 0.82% of the vote. Thomas M. Marumba, an independent, with 677 votes, or 0.53% of the vote. Constitution Amendment 1 is going to pass. Yes, with 579,151 votes, or 71.23% of the vote. No garnered 233,864 votes, or 28.77% of the vote. Constitutional Amendment 2 is going to pass. Yes, 588,964 votes, or 74.70% of the vote. To no, 199,516, or 25.30% of the vote. Constitutional Amendment 3 is going to pass. Yes had 637,166 votes, or 78.27% of the vote. To no, 176,937 votes, or 21.73% of the vote. And Constitution Amendment 4 will pass as well. Yes, 524,406 votes, or 64.72% of the vote. To no, 285,862 votes, or 35.28% of the vote. Tennessee House District 36, Dennis Powers, running unopposed, garnered 8,291 votes. That's with Campbell and Claiborne coming in. Union hasn't come in yet. Dennis Powers has 6,034 votes from Campbell County.
23 of 23, getting ready to head our way as soon as this finishes printing. They did have one paper ballot left outside of it, but it's just from Ridgewood, so this will be the 23 of 23. Here we go.
Okay.
So we have, let me see, where would you like first?
Let's see. Okay, so this is final unofficial results, is this right?
Yeah, 23 of 23.
Okay. So let's take it through everything. La Follette Mayor.
La Follette Mayor, Cliff Jennings, 49.15% of the vote. Bill Archer, 26.37% of the vote. Joe Bollinger, 24.48% of the vote.
Okay, so final unofficial results: La Follette Mayor Cliff Jennings, 49.15% of the vote. Bill Archer, 26.37%. Joe Bollinger, 24.48%. What about La Follette City Council?
La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.15% of the vote. William Chuck Queener, 17.80% of the vote. Mike Evans, 17.05% of the vote. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.98% of the vote. Brian St. John, 11.76% of the vote. Jimmy Marlowe, 10.26% of the vote.
Okay, so La Follette City Council, Stephanie Grimm Solomon, 27.15% of the vote, and William Chuck Queener, 17.80% of the vote. Those two are in. Mike Evans, 17.05% of the vote. Lonnie Hot Rod Wilson, 15.98% of the vote. Brian St. John, 11.76% of the vote, and Jimmy Marlowe, 10.26% of the vote. What about Jellicoe Mayor?
Jellicoe Mayor, Sandy Terry, 60.52% of the vote. Dwight Osborne, 39.48% of the vote.
Okay, Jellicoe Mayor Sandy Terry with 60.52% of the vote. Dwight Osborne with 39.48% of the vote. So Sandy Terry is the first ever female mayor in the city of Jellicoe. Jellicoe Alderman.
Jellicoe Alderman, Sarah Beth Barton, 13.68%. Creekmore, Joe Creekmore, 12.98%. Suzette Davenport, 11.81%. Marty Boland, 10.68%. Then we have Teresa Adkins, 10.18%. Jerry Neal, 10.02%. Stan Marlowe, 8.97%. Cornbread Minton, 8.28%. Courtney Evans, 7.54%. Clarence Beck, 3.38%. And then Thelma Gibson, 2.49%.
Okay, so the people that are in for Jellicoe Alderman are Sarah Beth Barton with 13.68% of the vote, Joe Creekmore with 12.98% of the vote, Suzette Davenport with 11.81% of the vote, Marty Boland with 10.68% of the vote, Teresa Adkins with 10.18% of the vote, and Jerry Neal with 10.02% of the vote. These people didn't make it. Stan Marlowe with 8.97% of the vote, Rodney Cornbread Minton with 8.28% of the vote, Courtney Evans with 7.54% of the vote, Clarence Beck with 3.38%, and Thelma Gibson with 2.49%. And there we have it. So I guess you can go ahead and head back to the office, JT, as we have our final unofficial results. Maybe you could, well, I don't know if the Royal would still be having a party or not. You could try to stop by there and see if there's any photos at the Royal to be had still, or if they've already packed up.
Will do.
All right, sounds good. All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And so now we're going to try to get some people on the line to talk to about this result. Let's see who we can talk to first. Let's see, trying to get Sandy Terry on the line as soon as we can. Let's see if we can. All right, we have we're going to talk to Joe Creekmore, who's going to be one of our new Jellicoe aldermen.
Hello.
Hi, is this Joe Creekmore?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Robbie O'Daniel, the editor of the La Follette Press. You're on our La Follette Press Facebook Live election results show. I just wanted to congratulate you on your election to the Jellicoe Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
I appreciate that.
All right, so, what's your reaction, first of all, to being elected?
Well, I mean, I appreciate the people having confidence in me and voting for me. And like I've said multiple times, I've been here my whole life. And, with several other people like myself that were newcomers running this time. And so I think we've got a good group that got elected tonight. So I'm encouraged, and it's a positive outlook for our city. And I believe we can come together and work together, this group that's elected, and hopefully progress things forward. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting, I think.
Yeah, and what was some of the reasons we talked before? What were some of the reasons that you decided ultimately to run for Jellicoe Board of Mayor and Alderman?
Well, like I said, I've been here my whole life, but my daughters and my granddaughters are here, and I've just invested in the community a lot. I got a lot of too many people here I don't know, and I just got a heart for my town, and want to see it grow and develop. And that's going to take a community effort. It ain't just about a mayor and the council. It's going to take God first, and it's going to take us all coming together and working together. And I believe we can achieve that. Like I said, I'm really excited about the results, and I think we can go, move forward in a positive direction.
What are the some of the issues that you really can't wait to kind of sink your teeth into over the next 4 years?
Well, I mean, there's some details, as far as finances and those things that I need a little more information on those things. Some of the people that are here, I'm at the radio station right now, and some of the people that are here, we were, the other ones that got elected tonight too, we were discussing, some of those things. So really, specifics, obviously we want to, the police department's been doing a good job of, cracking down on some of the drug problem here in town and different things. And so obviously we want to keep that moving forward, and want to look at having more tourism and activities in our town, for different age groups, the young and old alike, and and try to get some more restaurants to our town. We've lost Wendy's there in the past, so maybe we can get someone in there, or get some different things in there too. Just a lot of different things, but I believe it's an exciting time, or just for me. I look forward to working with the new mayor and the council. I believe we'll come together and work good together.
Was this something that you always saw yourself as doing, or was it just something that
Not
came about
really.
later?
Not really. I guess as I got a little, I just turned 50 last week, so I guess I'm getting a little older. I guess I thought a little, I never really thought about getting into politics, but I've always been a people person and coached basketball out here for years in our junior pro league, and just watched a lot of people grow up in this area and been here my whole life too. So I guess just feel concerned about the future, like I said, for my kids and grandkids and just the kids of our town in general.
All right. Anything? What would you say to the people who voted for you?
I would just say to the people of Jellicoe, this is just the beginning. I appreciate their confidence in me. I'm very humbled that they would vote for me, and I would ask them just to keep our leadership, our mayor and our council and our whole town, just keep praying for us and pray that God give us good wisdom and direction going forward.
All right. Thank you so much. Do me a favor, and the people that are there at the radio station that you're nearby, could you tell them to connect with us over at the La Follette Press? We'd love to have them on the phone as well.
All right.
I've messaged a few of them over Facebook Messenger, so.
Okay. All right. I'll do that, sir. I'll be glad to.
All right. Thank you so much. Joe Creekmore, new Jellicoe Alderman. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye. All righty. So, we've interviewed so many people tonight. We've interviewed Cliff Jennings. We've interviewed Stephanie Grimm-Solomon. We've interviewed Chuck Queener. We've interviewed Joe Creekmore just now. We've interviewed Tim Burchett. We've interviewed Dennis Powers. We've interviewed Ken Yeager. It's been another big election night, live election results show here at the La Follette Press office here at Woodson's Mall. We're hoping to have, if we can make some other connections, we're hoping to, have some more interviews here. If there's too much of a gap, we might just sign off and provide more of the coverage later on in the paper. Okay, I see what he was talking about earlier. He had, Marty Bowen wasn't listed in one of our posts, I think, somehow. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah, we missed Marty Bowen on one of these updates, so that's where that came about. But yeah, we're just gonna see here for a second if we have any more. 10.68. Okay. Alrighty, we're just going to see if we're going to have any more listed here. And we're going to see if we're probably going to go ahead. Well, we're actually getting some replies now. Okay. All right, we're getting some replies now from people. We'll start with our new mayor, Sandy Terry, over in Jellicoe.
Hello.
Hi, is this Sandy Terry?
It is.
Hi, this is Robbie O'Daniel, the La Follette Press editor. I'm here. You're on the Facebook Live election results show. What's your reaction to being elected mayor of Jellicoe?
I am very excited. I'm very excited to serve this community. I have been on city council for the last 4 years, and I'm just very excited to be a part of it and to move forward and to be elected as mayor. And I would like to thank the citizens here in Jellicoe and all the people that voted for me, all my friends and family. And I want to thank my husband because he has been my biggest supporter.
What does it mean to you, the historical aspect of it? You're the first ever female mayor in Jellicoe. That's always going to be there. That history is always going to be there, and you're going to be a part of it. What does that mean to you?
It means so much to me to be the first woman mayor of Jellicoe. I am just very excited. I am just beyond myself.
And we talked about it before, but what are some of the things that you're interested in addressing over your term as Jellicoe mayor?
Well, I am just right now just going to soak up this big win as becoming the first woman mayor of Jellicoe, and I will get back with you on what things we're going to be doing and things that we plan to move forward on.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for having us, Sandy Terry, the new Jellicoe mayor.
All right. Well, thank you, Robbie, for getting with me. I appreciate it a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was Sandy Terry. Now we're going to let's talk to Suzette Davenport here, if we can get her on the line real fast.
Hello.
Hi, is this Suzette Davenport?
It sure is.
Hi, it's Robbie O'Daniel with the La Follette Press. You're on our Facebook Live election results show. What's your reaction to being reelected to the Jellicoe City Council?
I am so excited to be reelected and get to do more for Jellicoe. And I enjoyed really working with the Life Council. And we will have 4 new ones and a new mayor this time. And I look forward to working with those people as well.
What does it mean to you? Obviously, you've worked for the last 4 years with Sandy Terry as both being alderwomen, but now to see Sandy Terry become the first ever female mayor in Jellicoe, what does that mean to you to see?
It means the world to me. Sandy and I have been friends for over 40 years. And it means the world to me for her to get mayor, because I think she will do great. She'll do great for Jellicoe.
And what about the historical aspect of it? Just that, it's cliche, but just the idea that, seeing different groups represented, everybody can be everything. It's the first time ever that a woman will be the mayor in Jellicoe.
It's amazing. It means, like I said, it means the world to me. And I think, I don't know what the future holds, but I think that a lot of things, that we didn't get accomplished even in the Life Council, I think that we can get what we didn't get done finished and even more done, because Sandy sees and she knows what we need.
What are some
the
of those...
mayor can't do it by themselves, and the council, one council can't do it by themselves.
What are some of those things that you can't wait to continue working on over the next 4 years?
The street fix. There's some things that the community. I worked at tourism side of council all 4 years that I served. And I would, myself personally, love to get the community more involved and have an event downtown Jellicoe and better pay for the employees. There's several things and new equipment for the employees, absolutely. Yes, for all departments.
And you were talking, when we talked before, you were talking about how great it will be, to have a term where the coronavirus pandemic won't be such a nuisance, I guess you could say.
And that is this term. Mm-hmm. I am ready. I'm ready.
What would you say
I
to all
feel like we were cheated.
Mm-hmm. What would you say to all the people that voted for you?
I want to thank everybody who voted for me. I appreciate it so much. And the people that know me know that I will do my best. I will do my best and what I can to help them. And I really, really appreciate the people.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Suzette Davenport, reelected to the Jellicoe Board of Mayor and Alderman. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay, and then we're going to try to get Teresa Adkins on the line here.
Hello.
Hello, is this Teresa Miller Adkins?
It is.
Yes, this is Robbie O'Daniel with La Follette Press. You're on our La Follette Press Facebook election results show. Congratulations on being elected to the Jellicoe City Council.
Thank you.
So, what's your reaction to being elected?
I'm a little surprised, and I'm very excited. Hope we can all come together and see some things change.
Yeah, what are some of those things that you'd love to see change?
Well, of course, we need to get the hospital open, and we need to work on some more employment, things of that sort. But there's a lot of little things also that could happen.
And correct me if you don't have previous political experience, right?
I do not.
Okay. Did you always see yourself doing this, or was it kind of what spurred you into doing this?
I actually have a restaurant downtown in Jellicoe, and I see a lot of the needs, and I do real estate also, so therefore I see firsthand, things that are needed, and I just prayed about it and jumped in there and thought, hopefully I can be somebody that can help to make a difference.
And I've been talking to everybody, but what does it mean to you, just the historical aspect of it, to see Sandy Terry be elected as the first female mayor in the city of Jellicoe ever?
I think she will do amazing things. Mm-hmm. I'm looking very forward to working with her.
What are what are some things that you're interested in? Like, what are some things that maybe when you talk to voters that they were bringing up as far as things that they, wanted to see addressed in Jellicoe?
Just some more community involvement, doing things for the community to help bring everything together, and like I said, seeing more jobs and just some outcomes to some projects that they've already been working on. So.
Okay. And what would you say to the voters who voted for you?
I really appreciate it. Can't say thank you enough.
All right. Thank you so much. So Teresa Miller Adkins voted to the Jellicoe City Council.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All righty. Well, that's gonna about do it for us. We've talked to so many people tonight. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on our La Follette Press election results show. And you can see more. We'll have more stories and everything in the paper that comes out on Thursday. We'll have stories and different interviews and things like that. But thank you so much.